Hi everyone, today we are excited to announce our new sponsor TempStick. Kenny and I both have one of these in our RVs to alert us when the temperature parameters we have set in our RVs are exceeded so we can get back to the RV to take care of our pets. Pets can overheat in an RV when the AC goes out, just like in a car. TempStick provides early warning to a problem with your cooling system in the RV and alerts you through text and email. If you travel with pets, you should definitely go to tempstick.com and learn about this product. On this episode, we welcome back Joel Holland, the CEO of Harvest Hosts, to talk about the acquisition of Boondockers Welcome and what it means for both the Harvest Hosts and Boondockers Welcome programs. He also updates us on how Harvest Hosts has been doing since the pandemic began. That's enough of me rambling. Let's get into the discussion with Joel.
Hey, Joel, welcome back to the show. For anybody who might have missed your first appearance with us, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role with Harvest Host and now Boondockers Welcome?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Kenny, Sean. So I'm Joel Holland. I'm the CEO of Harvest Hosts, and we are now the proud owners of Boondockers Welcome as well. And we're really trying to build just an amazing network of alternative camping, destinations for RVers and really unique experiences. So we have in the Harvest Host network, we have over 2,500 wineries, breweries, distilleries, museums, golf courses, and other small businesses where you can stay and come away with a really cool experience. And with Boondockers Welcome, now have over 3,000 private properties, so people's homes. And it's really a community-driven platform. Again, alternative camping, and you come away with amazing experiences.
Now, last time we talked, I think you were over maybe 1,500 locations. So one thing we wanted to talk about was the growth of Harvest Host since we last talked. And it sounds like you did experience some growth during the COVID pandemic. And how exactly has that impacted Harvest Hosts?
Yes. Man, COVID is one of these bittersweet things, right? Where obviously it's awful, but it had a really positive impact on the RV world and on road travel and on getting people back out into nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so for as bad as it was, and it is on the health side of things, I think mentally people are just happier because they're now out exploring. I mean, you look at the national parks, state parks, it's like all-time records of attendance. And it sucks. It took a pandemic to wake people up to get them into nature, but I'm glad they're doing it. So we've seen that spillover effect in our company. Membership at Harvest Hosts has, more than doubled during the pandemic, and host locations we've added about 1,000, in the last year. A lot of this is we're running with it, right? We know that the RV sales are all-time highs. There are more RVers than ever, and we really want them to experience our product because we genuinely believe that it's a fun product and it makes RVers happier. And so we've been doing a lot of advertising. We continue to spend millions of dollars on Facebook and other online channels. We did a national television campaign that was very fruitful, and we've been hiring very quickly. So we've added about 25 full-time employees just in the last couple of months. And many of them are focused on host recruitment, because for us to continue to succeed, we need to have a really robust network of host locations. Because what you guys are probably seeing, and I see it too, we just got back from an RV trip last night. Getting into campgrounds is hard and it's frustrating, right? And like, to me, RVing is a spontaneous activity. You wake up, whatever you're feeling for that day, you go with it. And now it's a little bit tough to do that because you have to call ahead, make plans. We bank on cancellations. Like, literally it's the only way we can do it last minute is we hope for cancellations, but that's stressful too. So I'm trying to make sure with Harvest Hosts and Boondockers Welcome, now over 5,000 locations, tens of thousands of additional spots for people. We're trying to increase the locations that people can stay. So we'll keep hiring and keep focusing on recruiting heavily.
Yeah, that's really important. And this was a first for me. I've been RVing for 4 years. I drove up here to the Winnebago Rally from Arizona, and I called ahead at a campground, which I've always done in the past, the KOA, and they had no space for me. I was like,
Yeah.
this is a first. This is never. So we need these spaces now more than ever. Are you guys growing faster than you expected? Are you hitting your mark, like, because of what happened with COVID in 2020? Or are you?
Yes.
So
Yes, much
by
faster.
taking you by surprise that way, did you have to kind of reevaluate, readjust, or change anything in your planning?
Yeah, totally. We basically became a much larger organization than I expected to be at this point, right?
Okay.
So I bought Harvest Host 3.5 years ago from the original founders. My goal was that it was gonna be a lifestyle business, right? Like I love RVing. My wife and I RV. We now have a 7-month-old daughter. The whole lifestyle just is us. I loved running a business that collided with my lifestyle because it doesn't feel like work. And the idea was like, just run this nice small business, make some money on the side, support our lifestyle. It simply outgrew that concept a lot faster than I expected. And that's okay. I decided we need to run with it because this is a really unique business and a unique opportunity to provide a pretty cool product. So yes, COVID made our growth like over 100% faster than I expected. And the implication is we've hired a lot of employees. So we now have a pretty large staff, fully remote. We're all over the country. We were always a remote company before COVID. COVID actually has helped on the recruiting front because now there are all these kind of displaced employees who they know they don't really want to go back to an office. So we're like, hey, perfect. We have a solution for you. Work for a cool company, doing what you love, and we'll never ask you to go to an office. So yeah, things have basically just accelerated. I think where we are today, I thought maybe we'd be there in like 3 to 5 years.
Wow, that's huge. That's
yeah.
So in the acquisition of Boondockers Welcome, can you tell us how the Boondockers Welcome kind of side of your business now differs from Harvest Hosts?
Yeah, totally. So similar in concept in that it's a membership, relatively inexpensive membership, $50 a year, gets you unlimited stays, just like Harvest Hosts, at locations all over the country that are, kind of known as boondocking. Although, fun fact, 75% of Boondockers Welcome locations have hookups.
Nice.
But that's the thought. Is it's just this alternative camping inventory, very similar model to Harvest Hosts. The big difference is that Harvest Hosts small businesses selling a product. There's usually an experience around it. Boondockers Welcome is a community of private landowners, so it's other RVers like us. So it's very community driven, and it has this like pay it forward mentality where you may chip in $5-10 to pay for electricity and water, and but really you're going to get to know the hosts, and it's much more of a social experience is how it's different. And so we're going to keep the product separate. I'm a big fan of don't mess with a good thing. I tried as much as possible with Harvest Hosts not to mess with anything. Really, since I've come in, we've just grown, right? We've grown the host locations, we've grown the technology, we've improved a lot of things, but I've never changed the fundamentals of the program. And we're gonna do the same thing with Boondockers. Keep it like it is as a separate product. We'll eventually, hopefully towards the end of this year, integrate all the data so that if you're a member of both programs, if you pull up one app, you can see everything, and do one route planning from one place. That'll be nice. Yeah. Have a more seamless booking experience. So that, it'll be the same booking engine that runs both, messaging system that runs both. So I think putting the two together will really clean up that technology experience. But we'll always keep the brands separate.
And I think if I remember correctly, Harvest Host, when you purchased it, I think you tried it a couple times first and you liked the experience and you thought, oh, this is a great idea. Is that similar to Boondockers Welcome? Like, how did you get attracted to Boondockers?
Yeah, totally. So, it's now been many years that I've known Boondockers Welcome. And Marianne and Anna, I've been in touch with them. They were the founders, been in touch with them for years. And really going back to when I first got involved with Harvest Hosts, I immediately started talking to them because I really like what they were doing. And I told them that. I said, look, I'm not coming into the space to try to compete with you or crowd you out. I think what you're doing is awesome. we're really sticking with our lane, small businesses, like let's be friends. And we kept this great relationship over the years. And, eventually I kind of heard through the grapevine from them loosely that they were ready to retire and move on to the next thing. They'd done it for a long time. And so I put my hand up and I was like, look, you know me, you know our business. I promise we'll take good care of your child. Let's do this. But that's really, I love the business because the experiences are incredible, just like Harvest Hosts. But it has a great reputation, like Harvest Hosts. Like anyone you speak to who has used Boondockers or been a host at Boondockers, it's a very positive force. And I really like being involved with those types of companies.
So other than the platform, like you said, you might join. So if people are members of both, they can see it all in one application. Other than that, you don't anticipate any merging of the two different entities, so to speak?
Well, I mean, from a corporate structure, yes, totally merged. But from a user experience, I like the idea of keeping the brands separate. We will eventually create, again, towards the end of this year, a bundle so that you can purchase Harvest Hosts, Boondockers, Golf, kind of put them all together in a premium package for a lower price. And so that's something we're working on right now, figuring out the pricing and all those things. And then, eventually, I think I think the really big opportunity here is once we cross promote Boondockers Welcome to the Harvest Host membership base, which by the way is closing in on 200,000 members. So it's a large group.
Wow.
When we say, look, you can have a free Boondockers Welcome membership if you're a host. And that's kind of the program, right? I think we'll grow from 3,000 Boondockers Welcome locations to our goal is 5,000 by the end of the year. So adding a couple thousand, I think we might be pleasantly surprised and far surpass that. But I think that's another massive benefit is opening up the Boondockers Welcome host platform to a couple 100,000 of our members. I think we'll see some pretty big numbers.
Yeah. So you're not going to change that. If you host with Boondockers Welcome, you can also use Boondockers Welcome. You don't anticipate changing that model that they've been successful with so far.
No, totally. We've always had this policy at Harvest Hosts that as a host, if you want a free Harvest Host membership, you're welcome to it. Now, a lot of our small businesses don't RV, so they don't use it, but a number of them do. But no, I mean, look, we're at the end of the day, we are beyond grateful for anyone who hosts, right? Like they are our program. And so for us to offer them a free membership is the least we could do. And so that's certainly what we're going to keep doing for Boondockers. We're going to simplify it. Right now, they have a pretty complicated credit system. So it's like someone stays, you get a credit that you can use for a couple months of free. We're just going to say, look, if you're a host, it's free, very simple. And so that will make it easier.
And for the guests, is there any expectation of change of services for them if they're part of Boondockers Welcome right now? After the merger is complete, is it complete? It's complete. Yep. Yeah. Complete. So would they expect any changes, and vice versa? As people that have been using Harvest Host, are they expecting changes on their end as a user?
No, I mean, great. So what we've told them to this point is nothing's going to change for now. The only changes are going to be improvements, and those improvements are going to be better technology, better app integration, and more locations. I mean, so just like Harvest Hosts, when we bought it, it had 600 locations. We invested a lot of time and money, and now there's 2,500. So that's a good change, right? Mm-hmm. My hope is that we interview current members of Boondockers in a year, and they're very happy with the changes because they're really improvements.
Yeah, I would imagine sorry, Kenny. I would imagine the bringing those two together just helps you develop, gives you the, the ability to develop better technology all around with these platforms as well.
Yes, totally. And yeah. I think that's another thing that we have a big strength in is technology, right? Like my background is being running a video technology company before this. And at that company, we had 100 employees, 33 of them were engineers. And so it was a very engineering heavy company. Fortunately, Boondockers, Harvest Host, not as engineering heavy, but I've brought over some really incredible people who used to work at my last company, and they're great. They're great at solving technology problems. So yeah, I think I'm excited about what we're going to do.
I have probably a dumb question, Joel. So when you acquire Boondockers Welcome, do you automatically become the CEO of Boondockers Welcome because you're already the CEO, or is there something weird about that?
No, it's a good question. I guess really that's a technicality. So yes, I guess because we purchased Boondockers Welcome and rolled it up into our entity. So it's now part of our corporate structure, separate brand, but we're looking at it as a product now. And so, yes, I'm the CEO of Boondockers. The founders, Marianne and Anna, have been wonderful, and they're staying on until November to help us.
That was going to be another question. So they'll help with transition.
Totally,
Nice.
because they know what they're doing and they're awesome. We also they had some employees that we brought on full time, and so really the structure can continue living on and just kind of roll right up into our group, which is nice.
Okay, nice. So then I guess a follow-up question would be that you're not like shaking up management there, or coming in and firing everybody that has worked for
no
type of thing.
No. Well, and the nice thing is, honestly, it was a very simple company, very similar to Harvest Hosts. When I bought Harvest Hosts, it was Don and Kim, the founders, and that was it. They had some contractors they'd worked with, and I continued working with some of them. Boondockers, the same thing. So Anna and Marianne were really doing most of the work. They're going to kind of retire in November by their own choice. I would love to keep them on, but they're ready to go to do the next thing, and I get that. And then they had one full-time employee, Carrie, who was running all their customer service and marketing. She's wonderful. She happens to be located in Colorado, which is awesome. Not too far from me here. And so we brought her on full-time. And so, yeah, no one was fired. No one was pushed out, and which is beautiful, right? That's the way, that's a great outcome.
What's the hardest part of doing an acquisition like that, from like a business perspective, and also, from any other perspective that you found challenging?
Well, I think that there's a lot of wisdom that says that acquisitions are often negative, right? That a lot of companies buy too much and then end up spending it out later. I think the reason that a lot of acquisitions are negative is that there's cultural misfits, right? And so if you're buying a company that has a ton of employees and they're located somewhere else, every company has its own culture, right? It has its own DNA, no matter what. Like, they're going to be very different. And to try to put two very different organisms together is challenging. And there's going to be friction. And there's going to be some people who don't like it. And people are like, no, the way we do it's right. And then the other group's like, well, no, the way we do it's right. Well, who wins, right? Probably the acquirer, but it ends up becoming messy. So we're very fortunate that the structure here, again, was very simple. It was the founders and an employee. We have none of those cultural issues. So I think the reason our integration and our acquisition has been successful and is going to be very successful is we were able to dodge that bullet. I'm hesitant to ever buy. I don't think I'd ever buy a company that had a ton of employees for that reason. Is the cultural integration is the most challenging part, and almost insurmountable, in my opinion. I'd rather focus on my existing business or build, right? I mean, like, whenever you acquire a company, there's always this build versus buy question, right? Like, can I recreate what's out there? Why would I buy it versus recreating it? In the case of Boondockers, and the reason about Harvest Host, they had spent years building an amazing network and a really great program. So to try to rebuild that would have been super challenging. But that's always the question you ask, is build versus buy. And then one of the biggest sticking points is, well, what are the cultural implications of trying to absorb this other company into your company? So I don't foresee us being a very acquisitive group. Boondockers Welcome just happened to be this obvious, awesome target that I'd always really wanted to have in our network. So it worked out really well. But yeah, acquisitions can be a tricky wicket.
So it wasn't a tough decision for you when the opportunity came up to decide on whether to acquire or whether to continue to grow Harvest Hosts. You know, I'm getting the sense that that was not a tough decision for you.
No, but I will tell you that the two major things that we considered, one is price, obviously, right? Like if the price is way too high, that doesn't make sense. We had to justify the price. And so, because it was a high price, but we had to justify it. And the way we could justify it was we really created a bunch of mathematical models to say, all right, how is this going to pay back over time? How long is it going to take? What is the cross sale to our existing members going to look like? You know, et cetera. The second big consideration is how distracting is this acquisition going to be on our core business? Because Harvest Hosts was and still is growing very quickly, right, with our traditional model. And so to buy a company and distract from what you're good at is a terrible idea. And so that was, we really had to become comfortable with was, is the price right? And will it be, will it not distract from what we're doing? And the answer to both those questions ultimately became yes. And we went for
it. And the two business models, probably not the correct way to word this, but they are similar with large differences. But I would imagine that the two companies now combined can really kind of help each other kind of learn from each other about growing, because both companies have shown great growth in short periods of time. So I'm sure there's like aspects of Harvest Host that you can implement into Boondockers Welcome to help it continue on the pace that it's going and the speed, and vice versa.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, that is the beauty of the two models. They are very similar, right? I mean, they're very similar structures. Like, had Boondockers Welcome if it had been a pay per night program instead of a membership, it wouldn't have worked. But the fact that it's a membership and ours is a membership, it's the same concept, right? And then you're right that it's really cool. Boondockers Welcome, already we've learned, like they had a really good booking system. They've always had a booking system. We only recently, in the last few months, developed our own booking system at Harvest Hosts. We've now been able to take a lot of cues from Boondockers Welcome for things that work really well in their booking system that we hadn't thought about, and we've started porting them over to ours. And then on the flip side, we have a really good app with Harvest Hosts. Like, it's really well designed. It's powerful route planning. Boondockers Welcome doesn't. I mean, it works, but it's really new. I mean, it's only been out a couple months. They were still trying to figure it out. Well, we've had 3.5 years to figure it out. So we know the features that need to be pushed into their app. In reality, we'll probably just create one combined app. But yeah, it's cool. Learnings go both ways for sure.
How does the oh, I just lost my train of thought. How does the booking system work on Harvest Hosts?
Yep. So we have a system we rolled out in April, May, called Request to Stay. And essentially it's a calendar system. And so if you pull up a host location, traditionally you'd see a phone number, you'd call and say, hey, I'm a Harvest Host member. Do you have a place to stay? Well, now if that host is on the Request to Stay system, you'll just see a link that says Request to Stay. Click, you'll see a calendar. And then you'll see days on the calendar grayed out if they're unavailable or available. You click it, put in your request notes. It already knows, like our system knows the length of your rig and knows that you fit the requirements. You might put a little note in there like, hey, I'm Sean, really excited to come visit you, this weekend. You submit the request. It is then sent to our hosts by email and SMS text message if they've opted into that. And they can then very quickly click a link to review your request and accept it or decline it. And ideally that all happens pretty quickly. And so now we have 1,400 of our hosts are on the Request to Stay system. And we've done over 100,000 stays through the system in the last few months. So it's working well. And the feedback we've gotten from members, they love it. It's just because it's easier, right? It's easier than having to make a bunch of phone calls, wait for calls back. You can click a couple buttons, it's just easier. And it's easier for the hosts because if their inventory's full, the phone doesn't keep ringing, right? It's just grayed out, good to go. So we're trying to get all of our hosts on that system. It's pretty cool that Boondockers out of the gate, all 3,000 hosts are on a booking system. It just makes it easier.
And what's the hesitancy of the why aren't all of the hosts? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the short answer is these are small businesses that are very busy and they don't want to take the time to learn a new system. Now, the reality is it's a very simple system. And we're trying to really educate them on that. Like, look, we promise you don't have to learn a whole new technology. It's gonna make your day easier, not harder, but it's still a new thing. And so it's like, you're trying to run your winery and now there's this new technology system and a calendar you have to like figure out. Again, it's not hard, but I think that impetus is on us to educate. So the remaining hosts who aren't on there yet, we're really actively reaching out to them, calling them, emailing them to say, hey, like, let's give this a try. We think you'll like it.
Yeah, and I think once they see the stats that you just mentioned, I mean, it seems like it's working great for half your hosts.
I mean, imagine that 100,000 bookings, which means at a minimum 100,000 phone calls were reduced, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is, I'll bet you for every one booking at a place, they probably get 3 or 4 phone calls. So there's like 500,000 phone calls that didn't have to happen.
Yeah,
which is great for the members, but also really great for the hosts who are trying to run their wineries. They don't need 500,000 phone calls coming in.
Inside the app, you had mentioned like Boondockers Welcome. Even though it's called Boondockers Welcome, a large majority of them do offer some form of hookups. Is that in the app? We'll lay it out and say, or is it just kind of not to be expected anywhere, but if you show up, it just might be like, just by chance?
Yeah. No, it's funny that what you just mentioned is actually how Harvest Hosts work. We don't really mention that there's some have hookups. You show up and it's a pleasant surprise.
Okay.
It is the minority though, so that's really why we don't push that. I was surprised to learn that 75% of Boondockers Welcome offered hookups of some sort, electricity, water, typically those two, not sewer. But yeah, no, it's in the app. It's in the app and it's on the website. Okay. So you can actually see before you go what services they offer. And that's nice, especially like right now where it seems like the whole country's cooking. It's kind of nice to know you'll be able to turn the AC on.
Yeah.
So Joel, I'm getting ready as soon as it comes up to buy some property that's adjacent to my property. And one of the things we're going to do is put a couple of RV pads in there, mostly just because we want friends to be able to come and stay on our property whenever they're in the area. But if I was to want to offer that through Boondockers Welcome, how hard is it to sign up and get registered as a host?
Yeah, it's really simple. Really simple. Right on the website, there's an application form that just kind of asks you about your property, about a little bit about you, what you offer, as far as like 2 pads, hookups, etc. And that's it. And you can actually charge a nominal fee for the electricity and the water. Totally acceptable, right? And I think that's common. So $5-10, pay for the utilities. But yeah, it's easy to get on. We'd love to have you. We absolutely love to have you. So let me know when you're up and running.
Yeah.
Now, as a host, like if Sean would do that and he becomes a host, is it like a request form? Like does he have the opportunity to turn somebody down? Like if he gets a request, can he say, you know what, there's something about this person that can he refuse?
Totally. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's your property. You can say no to anybody you want. And so when you get a request, what's kind of cool about Boondockers is that all of our members put a little information about themselves on there. So they have a picture of their rig.
Okay.
A little bit about them, who they are, and they have ratings, if they've been around. So hosts rate members, members rate hosts. Same thing on Harvest Hosts now. Mm-hmm. It goes both ways. And so when a request comes in, you see their rating, you can see who they are, personalize them a bit. And yeah, for whatever reason, you don't like the vibe, you just say no.
That's sometimes all it is, just a gut feeling, you know.
Totally.
The person
Yeah.
could be 100% fine, but it's just a bad feeling
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes.
And, and we're very fortunate that we're in this RV industry where not only are we in the RV industry, we're in the RV industry with travelers, and it's just a really good group in mass, right? Like everyone's happy, they're out traveling, exploring, it's cool. So we're lucky. You were lucky in that way.
Yeah, never met a bad RVer.
I know. Same.
Honestly, haven't.
Yeah.
It's 4.5 years full time. Never met a bad RVer. They're all super friendly. It's crazy.
Totally.
You had mentioned about doing a discount package if you wanted to purchase both services. Is that just for new members? Will somebody that has Boondockers, and if they wanted to add Harvest Host, would they still get that discount?
Totally. Yep.
Okay.
So these are the things we're figuring out right now. And that's why we're not going to really make this available till the end of the year. We've got a lot of figuring out to do. We want to make sure that anyone who's already a member is always getting the lowest price, right? Because this is something that I instituted at Harvest Hosts when I took over, and I love it. We never raise prices on people. So we still have thousands of members at Harvest Hosts who are paying $44 a year because that's their grandfathered rate. Nice. And as long as they stay an active member, we're never going to push it up. You know, I feel like it's like nice to thank them for their loyalty, right? Unlike other subscription services we have where every year it's like, or every couple of months they're like, price has gone up. You're like, okay, I've been a loyal customer forever. Like, you're just going to raise prices on me. So yeah, we don't raise prices on people. So we're trying to figure out how to elegantly do that with these packages to make sure that when you get a package, you're always getting the best rate.
That's really nice that you guys do not, because everybody raises prices. I've never heard of that before. A grandfathered rate. Like, could you imagine? Like, that just doesn't happen anywhere.
Imagine
That's
like
awesome.
Netflix, if you're still getting like $7.99 a month. Yeah. No, I'm the only. I don't know of other groups that do it. I love the concept because it rewards loyalty, which ends up creating a really happy customer base, which is what we want, and really good retention. I mean, when people know they're on the best price, they're a lot less likely to churn because they know if they come back later, they're going to have to pay a higher price.
Right.
So I've loved that concept.
That's smart.
So Joel, is it still a lifestyle business?
Actually, yes. The answer is yes. And I think the reason is because I've been able to hire an amazing team. And so at my last company early on, I took on too much responsibility for too long, and it grew. The last company grew very quickly. I was doing too much and I burned out. This time around, the last thing I want to do is burn out. And so I stay ahead of it, and we just keep hiring great people so that I can just focus on the stuff that I really enjoy, having interviews with you guys, going to Escapade last week, right, with my family, RVing. I mean, so yeah, it is a lifestyle business. It's always going to be for me. And if it's not, I've made a mistake somewhere.
So what are you most excited about with the acquisition of Boondockers Welcome?
Having the largest network of private RV camping options in the world, right? I mean, Good Sam has 2,400 locations. We have 5,000. Wow. It's cool. And I'm excited to grow that, right? Like, I want to get to 10,000 locations and 100,000 spots. I mean, I want this to be the largest inventory of alternative, amazing RV camping options out there. And that's it. Like, that's our mission, kind of our rallying cry at Harvest Host, is to provide amazing RV camping experiences. It's just that simple. And I think Boondockers helps us continue pushing towards that.
And I should probably know the answer to this, but I don't. Are you US and Canada, or is it US only?
Yeah, US and Canada, especially now because Boondockers Welcome was a Canadian company. And so we now it's now a US company, but we now have structures and pay taxes in Canada, and all these things. But no, we have, even with Harvest Hosts, we have over 150 hosts in Canada. And I forget exactly how many Boondockers locations, but hundreds. So yeah, every Canadian province. And the border's opening up, August 6th, something like this. It's coming right
I
up.
think so.
We
Yeah,
were just
couple
talking about
We
what
were
the
just talking
date
about
was.
it. We couldn't remember.
Yeah, so somewhere in early August. So 6 or 9. But that's cool. Finally, good gracious. And
Yeah.
I think we'll start to see that flow across the border, which will be nice.
So you're not technically a U.S. member or Canadian member. If you purchase your Harvest Host or Boondockers in the United States, you can use the Canadian locations and vice versa.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
You're it's really, we're North America because we do have some locations in Mexico. Not a ton, but we do have some, especially Baja California. I mean, we have a number of them right there. But yeah, no, if you're a member, you can use anything on this continent. We're in all 48 states and Alaska. We've had a couple hosts apply from Hawaii, which I think would be cool just to say we have all 50 states.
Yeah.
Pretty tough to get from here to Hawaii, but maybe you ship a tire. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
So Joel, we wanted to start something new with you as the experiment on our podcast, and all the CEOs and business owners that we talked to. We wanted to ask some rapid fire type questions to you.
Cool.
If it doesn't work, we'll cut it out of the podcast, but hopefully it works. And we're just curious about the answers to some of these questions. So if you don't mind, we'll test it out.
Hit it.
All right. So the first one is, how much TV or streaming do you watch in a normal week?
Pretty good amount, actually. I enjoy evenings with my wife. Like once Waverly goes to bed, we actually sit and watch a show, usually a show a night. And then during the day, sometimes for lunch and stuff, we'll have just kind of running in the background, The Office, as an example. We love The Office. So it just plays on repeat. We go through like season 1 through all the way over and over again. It's just like junk food in the background. But no, I find TV and streaming is a nice way to relax.
Okay. And then how many books do you read per year, if any?
A good amount. I enjoy reading. And I think my goal this year through Goodreads, which is owned by Amazon, was like 13 books. So I typically read a book a month.
Okay.
And then I like to listen to audiobooks in the car or in the truck, right, when we're driving. So then another, 6 to 10 audiobooks through Audible.
And mostly fiction or nonfiction?
Mostly nonfiction.
Okay.
I really enjoy business books. I mean, like right now I'm reading the new book about Jeff Bezos that came out that really just like chronicles his rise and everything. I find it fascinating to learn about other businesses. But I also like fiction and I tend to listen to more fiction than read it. I like sci-fi. I like post-apocalyptic stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
And then we know the answer to if you RV or tent camp, but how often are you able to take your RV out and go on a trip?
Yeah, well, so the answer is I do both. I love both. We live here in Vail, Colorado. I tent camp many times a year. Like basically any open weekend where we're home, we'll go out in the woods and find friends, go hiking, go camping. It's awesome. And then the RV, we keep our fifth wheel in Grand Junction, which is 2 hours west. And we'll usually take that out I'd say like 2 to 3 months out of the year. We're on the road doing like a longer trip, like a nice trip to Oregon or back to Virginia. And we have a truck camper. And then we take the truck camper on shorter little excursions as well. So, all in, yeah, good amount of the year spent camping in one way or another.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's awesome. And then what is, other than Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome, you can't answer that, but what is your favorite outdoor camping or RV related product you've purchased?
Well, okay, I'll go for a membership first. I really like Good Sam for their exclusive trip planning tool, and it's to me it's a good tool because you can plan your route A to B and then plot all the not just Good Sam parks but private campgrounds and public campgrounds. So if I'm going from here to Oregon, I can very quickly see where all the hot spots are based on how many campgrounds there are, and then you start clicking around. And I like their rating system, so you can like 0 to 10 ratings, and like we want to be at ones that are more like 9s and 10s. So I really enjoy the Good Sam membership. Of course, we get discounts. KOA, I love our KOA membership because I really like KOAs. Physical product, one that I find myself using the most these days, propane fire pit. And, a couple of different manufacturers make them, but I love it. Like, pop it right into our propane, especially now with fire bans in so many places. Being able to pull your own propane out, it's nice. Your own propane pit. You don't smell like smoke. And so there's a lot of nights where like we want to sit out by a little fire, but I don't want to have to take a shower and I don't want to be covered in smoke. It's kind of nice. So I think that's my favorite physical product.
Yeah, we both really like outdoor fire pits, the propane fire pits. Yeah, they're awesome.
My favorite thing about the propane fire pit is that I'm able to turn it off just like whenever I want. So I don't have to set up a fire, light it, wait for it to get going. Like if I just want to be out there for 15 minutes with a little fire while drinking coffee, or 20 minutes, turn it on, I turn it off, and I'm done.
Totally. And yeah, and you're not worried that you're that guy that just created another 500,000 acre fire.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, Joel, before we let you go, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we might have missed that you want to highlight, especially related to the recent acquisition?
No, I think we're going to keep having a really good time. Both companies are wonderful companies, wonderful products. They both serve the same great community. So we're gonna keep growing our team, growing both products. If anyone listening has any suggestions for things we can do better or differently, you can always reach out to us, which is awesome. And then I think the only thing I'd say in ending, there's been a lot of grumblings about how many more RVers there are and how packed it is out there and how hard it is to get into campgrounds. And all this is kind of true. It's certainly busier than ever. But I will say we just got back from a 10-day RV trip and we were fine, right? Like we made it work. We were able to end up getting into all the parks we wanted to through cancellations. Like I had to call and bank on cancellations, but a ton of people cancel. I mean, what's wild is, Kenny, you were mentioning the KOA you went to that was full. So we stayed at KOA yesterday in Grand Junction, KOA Holiday, probably one of the more popular parks, totally sold out. We got a cancellation, so we got in, awesome. But then I was amazed while we were there, 3 or 4 sites were empty. They just never showed up. And so had someone driven in, they would have been fine. So I think that the fears of overcrowding are a little bit overblown, but you still obviously need to do some more preparation than normal.
Yeah, that's excellent advice, actually. So thanks so much, Joel, for coming back on, and we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us about the growth of Harvest Hosts and Boondockers Welcome. So thanks so much, and like we said last time, I think you're welcome back anytime on the podcast, and we look forward to seeing your growth in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We absolutely love when Joel comes on the show. He is so transparent with his answers, and he has such great insight when it comes to business and the RV industry. We appreciate his time and wish him the very best with the new acquisition of Boondockers Welcome. If you haven't already, go over and check out the website of harvesthost.com and Boondockers Welcome for some truly unique camping opportunities. Take care, everyone. Safe travels, and we will catch you next time.